Welcome to Seartsy. In this video, I'll show you how to use a reverse image search to identify the license of unlabeled photos and images so you can make sure you're using them legally. All right, here's what you need to know. The first is that we're going to use a reverse image search anytime you have a photo, an illustration, an image of some type, but you don't know where it came from. Many of you might have taken on projects with existing assets like photos, but if they aren't well documented or the chain of ownership is unclear, you might not know where they came from or what license they're covered by, and thus you're not going to know how to use them legally. And so this is where a reverse image search can help. So what the reverse image search does is show you where those photos are located on the internet, which we can then use to determine what license they're covered by, whether it's copyright or Creative Commons or something else. And if you're not familiar with those terms, copyright, Creative Commons, and other photo licenses, I encourage you to go ahead and check out our other video on that. I will link it in the description box below, but understanding those terms is going to be helpful for the rest of this video. But if your photo is covered by a license of some type, we always want to make sure that we're using it appropriately, such as with the correct attribution or according to use restrictions, and that we're using them legally. So again, following any type of restrictions set on that image. All right, let me walk you through the process. I'm going to use some examples that I found in folders for previous projects or in my downloads folder or other places on my hard drive. But basically, these all came from someplace on my computer. And these are the file names that they're named, and it's unclear from those file names exactly where these photos came from or what license they might be covered by. So I'll show you how to use these services to figure out the source for the photos and thus the license and how I can use them legally. Okay, so we're going to start here at tineye.com, which is just tineye.com. And this is just one reverse image search that we use um, to help us find photos that we can use legally. And so we're going to start here with my first photo. And it's really easy. You can either use this upload button or you can drag and drop. And so I'm going to take my mouse and pick up the image and drag and drop it over here. And you can see it takes about a half second. And we have just one result showing up here. So this is going to be an easy one to figure out that this is a stock photo. Now, stock photos are photos that are available usually for commercial use. Most of them are covered by some type of copyright or some type of Creative Commons. Most of the time you're going to be purchasing stock photos, but there are free stock sites out there as well. We do have a list of free stock sites over at certsy.org if you're interested. But if it is a stock photo, we want to be extra careful because many of them are covered by full copyright. And again, we only see the one result here, and it's found in stock and it's Shutterstock. And sure enough, if we click here, this is our photo and it's available for purchase. And so, I did find this photo already on my hard drive and it did not have the watermark on it like it does here. And so, if you don't know what a watermark is, we also do have a video on that, which I will link below. So, check that out. But the watermark indicates that it was purchased from someplace. And the photo I have didn't have the watermark, which suggests, again, it was purchased. So now that I know that it came from Shutterstock, though, I can go back to my institution and maybe trace this back and find a receipt for this and find out, did we buy this photo? And so I know actually I was here when we bought this photo a few years ago. And so I know we purchased this and I can probably go ahead and use it legally again as long as I follow copyright restrictions. All right, let's go back to TinEye and try the next photo. And so we're going to try my second photo here and drag and drop it. And the way I like to sort this is I like to see if there are any results first in stock photos because those are the most protected, usually under some type of copyright and probably have the most restrictions or use limits, that type of thing. And so if you check this box, it will sort by the stock photos. And so if you scroll down, you can kind of skip the ones that are sponsored unless it's the only result. You might have noticed actually in the previous example that Shutterstock was the only result. So even though it was sponsored, it does mean that Shutterstock owns it. And then, you can figure out what your restrictions are with that photo. But in this case, we do have some results that are just past these sponsored results. And so you can see this photo is showing up a lot on unsplash.com. So let's click on one of these and see if we can find our photo. Okay, so it's not this one. And No, no. So it might take you a second to click through. And if you don't find it right away, one of the ways that you can go find it, if you know what site it is search by the title of the photo if you have it, or maybe some keywords. And so I know it's on Unsplash, so I'm going to type in conference note taking, which is the title of my photo. And sure enough, here it is. And you can see that it's hosted by the Climate Reality Project. But more, again, here it is on Unsplash. Unsplash is a free stock site. They make their photos available for free. So the fact that I already have this photo, but it's downloaded, it's downloadable for free right now means I can go ahead and use it according to Unsplash's any use or restrictions, which again, I don't think they have any. You can use without attribution, double check to be sure wherever your photo is hosted. As long as you're following their restrictions, you can go ahead and use that photo. Okay, let's go back to TinEye and do the next one. And again, drag and drop. And this one is not named. And so not a whole lot of results here and no stock results. So it tells me it's not a stock photo of any type. And so it might be a little harder to find this. And so if I just try some of the results, this one doesn't work. That one looks a little suspicious. So this is where I will jump over to Google Lens. So to get to Google Lens, just go to google.com, and then right here at the edge of the search bar is this little icon that looks like a camera. It says search by image if you hover over it. So go ahead and just click on that. And then you can do the same thing as TinEye, just drag and drop your photo right there onto Google Lens. And so Google will bring up the different places that it finds the photo. And so our first result here is on Flickr. And if we click on this photo, once again, here's our photo right here on Flickr. And now we can find the license information. Now, this is Flickr, which is usually Creative Commons. Here's the license for it. If you need to know the specific details, you can click on the license, but it's Creative Commons. So in most cases, as long as you follow the attribution and use restrictions, you can go ahead and use that photo. So once again, if you can't find the photo on TinEye, go over to Google Lens and try it, because if it's on, especially if it's on Flickr or a place like that, you might be able to find it better through Google Lens. Okay, one more, and we're going back to TinEye to start. So this is my last photo, and once again, drag and drop, and start again with our stock photos. All right, so right after our stock photos, which you'll note here, this is not actually the same photo if you look carefully. It's similar, it might be in the same galaxy or, on the same night or something, but it's not exactly the same. And so on TinEye, if you click here where it says compare, you can compare this photo with your original. And so you can go back and forth, the original to the photo here, original photo here. So you can see it's not the same photo. So let's go back up to the top and unclick our check mark to take us back to all results. And then if we scroll down to see if we can find the actual original photo here as we scroll, we can see it's right here. Here it is on seattletimes.com, which sounds like a newspaper. And so if we click compare, we can see it is in fact the same photo. So let's go check that out. Now, if it's a newspaper, newspapers do tend to license their photos. They pay photographers for their photos. So it's unlikely we're going to be able to use this. But let's just click through to see where this photo lives. So again, if I click through this gallery, this is where this photo will show up. Now, this is a newspaper website, so it's unlikely we're going to be able to use this. And right here is the photographer's name, which is a type of attribution. So this probably was purchased. So unless you have permission from the photographer in some way or can buy it in another location, do not use this photo. All right, that's a basic rundown of using reverse image search to identify licenses for photos, images, illustrations, almost anything visual. If you've got any skills or topics you'd like us to cover, please feel free to mention that down in the comments. Hopefully this was helpful, and thanks for watching. Looking for more HealthCom content? Check out all of our trainings and resources at cirtc.org.